Hello, Mr. Ken.
Hello, Ken. How are you?
If you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you will never grow. You will never discover yourself, because when you're in a kind of situation like this, you'll never understand your full potential. You're going to laugh. She said, "Are you a man or a woman?" And it was kind of like, I'm a man. How could you not tell? This conversation was in Russian, not in English.
Cool.
I said, "I'm a man." So she sits next to me, and I said, "Why did you ask if I'm a man or a woman?" So she puts her hand on my leg and she says, "Because I've never met a beautiful man like you."
That is cool. That is cool.
And because she had to leave, she left.
Right.
Because I was such a shock by that
Right.
introduction. I didn't think I should take her number or something.
Right.
So she left.
I'm going to throw this out there again. The way that I furthered the interaction with women in China is simply, I had my number at the time, my QQ number on a card, and I simply said, "Ni han piao liang," which is "you are very pretty." And I hand her the card, and usually by the end of the day, I get a text or or a call, and we end up going out the next day. It's really that simple. So as a guy, in the West, sometimes you realize that if something is going to happen, you're going to have to be proactive and make something happen. But I find, at least in Asia, that simply giving them the opportunity, you hand them a card. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to convince anyone of anything. You don't have to, just hand them a card, and they will know that the only way that anything is going to happen is if they call you. Who's going to turn down the opportunity to call the exotic foreigner they met on a bus? Before we end, let me just say two things. One, Ken, I am always forever jealous that you grabbed the exotic foreigner handle on YouTube that I never got to. So I really love that concept, the exotic foreigner. It's something that I'm familiar with, having traveled through Asia as a Jamaican. But it's really, really, really a cool handle. What are your plans for the exotic foreigner? Are you going to be doing more traveling? What's the plan?
One thing I failed to mention, the exotic foreigner franchise specializes in Asia, the continent of Asia, because Asia to me is like a mystical place. There's so many places and cultures and things that we don't learn about where I grew up. We always hear about Europe, we always hear about South America, Africa, but Asia is something that was always mysterious, and I want to explore more about this. So the purpose of Exotic Foreign is I would like to visit all the countries in Asia possible, so that people who are also thinking about leaving the West, for example, or leaving wherever place that they feel trapped in, can see that there are other beautiful places in the world. Well, in Asia in particular, but in the world in general. And that it doesn't matter, how much money you have, because I didn't have much money growing up in the Bronx, and I still was able to travel to these exotic places. And I want to, similarly to the Jamaican and China and Beyond blog, I want to demyth a lot of propaganda that's been kind of bashed into us growing up, that the world is some scary place and everybody's going out to harm you. They want to kidnap you because you're British, you're Australian, or you're from a rich country. I want to show that there are places in the world where people are just like you and me. They want to live and get by. There's alternative lifestyles or ways. And I also want to interview other foreigners who also found these places and how they live. And so that everybody can have a first, how to say, first person kind of experience in what
Right.
a place is like, rather than what the news media.
There are different people who will relate to you. There are different people who will relate to me. There are different people who will relate, to my friend in Brazil, who's a fitness guru. So whether you're American or whether you're a vegan or whether you're,
Yeah.
former engineer or whether you're a tech geek, I find that if you can find someone who you can relate to, it can help bring that all of what you just said to more real to them if they can identify with the person. Yeah, I also was an outcast just like Ken. I was also a frustrated engineer or a frustrated corporate employee just like Walt. So being able to connect with people on that level is also good. So the more people we can interview, is the broader reach we can have to connect with people as well. For those people who are interested and who may be victims of the propaganda and the brainwashing, is there a single bit of advice? You're already leading by example, but is there some bit of advice that you would give to somebody who is thinking of finding a society that is more compatible with who they want to be based on your experience?
First off, you have to be very open to going into situations that might not seem very favorable, but it will definitely help you because, when I went to Central Asia, for example, Kazakhstan, it was a very unfavorable situation because I didn't speak the language, I didn't know about the people. But I've met so many different people, so many friends, other foreigners who shared the same situation as I did. And they also lead you into different directions that might be able to help you to your journey to wherever you want to go, that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise with the environment that you were in before. And
so be willing to put yourself purposely and deliberately in uncomfortable situations.
You have to be very, very uncomfortable. Okay, for example, I used to take boxing lessons, and my boxing trainer always told me, if it doesn't hurt, you will never gain. If you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you will never grow. You will never discover yourself, because when you're in a kind of situation like this, you'll never understand your full potential. For example, if you're a really shy person, like I was very introverted, and in the Western cultures, it's more extroverted. I feel they want you to be more confident, extroverted. But when I was in Kazakhstan, I kind of had to force myself to be more extroverted or to be more people talkative, etc., because my survival kind of was based off. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, I can do anything. I can talk to anybody, even if I don't understand. I know how to get myself out of bad situations or how to solve certain problems. And I learned a lot from this. And I think if you really want to find your place in the world, you have to be willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
Absolutely. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you'll keep getting what you've always been getting. So it has to, that we can say this 1,000 different ways, but yep, absolutely right. I agree with you. And I've done the same thing, quitting my job, without a savings net.
Yeah.
Going to countries like you do without speaking the language. That is the essence of growth. The essence of growth is that feeling of discomfort, whether it's speaking in front of a crowd, whether it's, performing for the first time, those butterflies that you get, that little apprehension that you feel, that is your growth, a calling to you. That is an indication that this is something you must do if you want to grow beyond it. Because the fact that it's a fear means that it's a limitation. So if you run towards it, you have no choice but to expand and to grow, because your growth doesn't exist within the circle that you are living in. It exists outside. So you have to push beyond, whatever the comfort zone is. So, yep, absolutely. Very good advice. And finally, but you told me that in the past you wanted to give up your US citizenship. So hold on. So let's do this. We don't have time to answer that question now, but giving up your US citizenship sounds like something that people might be interested in hearing. So let's save that for the next interview. And would you agree to come back on the channel and answer that question for our viewers?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right. So with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you'd like to see more of Ken Marks, the Exotic Foreigner, you can go to his YouTube channel at Exotic Foreigner on YouTube. Is there a website where people can get a hold of you?
Yes, it's still in progress, but the website is exoticforeigner.com.
And there'll be an email link there for people to contact.
Yes, there will be an email link shortly.
If you have any questions. Okay. So thanks again, Ken, and we'll talk again in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.